Hey everybody, it's Katie and I'm here with a quick update now that it's been a little over 11 months that I've been following the Sinclair Method. So in my last update video on my 10-month anniversary, I had mentioned that I went 30 days without drinking, and in total I actually went about 40 days. That's the longest I've gone since being on the Sinclair Method without drinking, and I did that really just effortlessly because there were a couple drinking experiences where I, of course followed the Sinclair Method, took the medication, but I really just didn't enjoy it. So I was kind of repulsed from alcohol for a while. So I went 40 days without drinking, and again, it was just like really effortless for me to do that. I ended up drinking because I was on a vacation and a fruity cocktail sounded good, so that kind of broke the 40-day sobriety. But I was fine with that. I was really wanted a cocktail. It sounded good, and it wasn't from a craving place. It wasn't like a need. It was just like the environment was perfect and it sounded really good, so I had it. And since then, I've had a handful of drinking sessions. I don't know how many, maybe about 4 or 5 over the last month or so. And each time I haven't had more than 2 drinks, and the experience, again, it hasn't been from a craving place like, oh, I need to have it, or just where I'm obsessing on it, but rather the drink just sounding good. And again, just having like 1 or 2 and really just feeling like I don't want any more. But want to speak to my experience that I had on the 4th of July. So I actually drank on the 3rd of July, and I was in a setting where it was like a real trigger for me for my past and my drinking in the past. So I was back in my hometown. I don't live there, but I was back in my hometown, and I was surrounded by friends and family, and always on the 4th of July, it was an occasion to just get wasted and party. And everyone I was around to, most everybody drinks, and they drink really, really heavily. So I had gone up there. I wasn't sure if I was going to drink or not, but I ended up having a couple of beers because the breweries in my hometown are just like, they make really fine beers. So I really enjoy the beers. So I ended up taking the medication and drinking 2 IPA beers. And it was really interesting for me because for the first time in many, many months, I sort of wanted to have a 3rd beer. And these were pretty strong IPA beers, so I definitely felt a buzz. But I noticed, and I'm sure it's because of my environment, because everyone around me was just pounding the beers, pounding the drinks. It was a big party, lots of just drunkenness and alcohol and people everywhere really celebrating the 4th of July. So I had my 2nd beer, and usually what's been happening for many, many months now on the Sinclair Method is that I get a clear signal that I just really don't want any more, and I switch to water usually. But this time I'd finished my 2nd beer, and I was like, I could go for a 3rd. Like, that actually sounds good. I'm not repulsed by the idea. But I didn't end up having the 3rd. I knew that if I had that, because they were stronger beers and I don't drink very much, I probably would have felt a little bit sick the next day. And it was actually like pretty easy for me to just say no. Like, there was still this chatter in my head, like wanting the 3rd, but it wasn't like, previous to the Sinclair Method where it would be like this obsession, and if I wasn't having it, I was like white knuckling it. It was really me just incorporating mindfulness, really noticing that desire, like, I want a 3rd beverage. This is really bizarre. It's been months since I've had more than 2 beverages. And I just watched it, and eventually I was just hydrating and having some snacks, and that thought or that desire went away. So it was really easy for me to not have the 3rd, but just find it really fascinating that I think, triggered by the environment I was in, that was really influencing me to have the 3rd beverage. And I realized lately, over the course of the past several months being on the Sinclair Method, it's very rare that I'm in a situation where people are really partying hard and drinking lots of alcohol. And I feel fortunate for that. But yeah, I was just noticing how much my environment was an influence to me having this inclination and desire to have a third beverage. It really kind of opened my mind a little bit more to you know, how much our environmental factors and the people we're drinking with and the place we're drinking and the occasion, how much that can influence our desire to drink more or over consume on the Sinclair method. Yeah, so that was really interesting. But that's all. Yeah, still just feeling incredible from being on the Sinclair method. Again, haven't had any cravings for many months now. Really just drinking in social situations when a beverage sounds good. I haven't been repulsed from alcohol like I was in my 10-month video. It's been something I've kind of been able to enjoy, like 1 or 2 beverages here and there in social situations. But yeah, I hope that's helpful and wishing you all the best. Please reach out if I can ever be a resource. Thank you. Bye.